Hi, it's EK here from EK Gorman Designs. I'm here today sharing the Crafting Desert Divas March stamp and die release. I'm sharing with you today the Norse Warriors stamp set. I thought I'd color up a little wine tag of all things. I wanted the image of this little Norse warrior to look incredibly battle weary. So when I played with the grays here, I made them dark and came back in with my colorless blender. I started off with a C5 and went to my C9, filled it in back with that C7, and then you'll see me come in with that colorless blender and just lay in tons of colorless blender on top of my grays, hoping that that colorless blender can make the metal of her helmet and her battle clothes look very battle worn and weary. This is really a fun stamp set for me. I have a group of ladies that get together a couple times a month that we all refer to ourselves as Viking wives. So when the stamp set came across my desk, it was like the most exciting thing I'd seen in some time. Because you refer to yourself as Viking wives, and then all of a sudden you have little Viking stamps to go along with your life. Life just gets all that much more fun. You can giggle. You'll see me. I've taken out the areas I've colored out of the lines with my colors blender, and here's where I finally come in and just start laying that colors blender down on top of that helmet, trying to make it look like it's a little dented and rough and worn. You'll see me come back in with a C1, C3, and C5 for her axe. I didn't want that to be as heavy a metal as what's in her clothing and her helmet. I think I got the effect in the end that I was looking for by making the axe lighter, but I think I still ended up darker than I ever intended. I had previously die cut out this stamp with another Crafting Desert Divas die set, and I love the idea of using a completely round tag to hang over a bottle of wine as a gift for somebody. I decided with the helmet and her shield to go with wood grains. Like her helmet is held together with wood, and her boots and her shield are both also that same kind of color of brown. Coming in with my E57 as my dark shade here, and just very lightly on the helmet, adding shadows to help round out the helmet. With the shield, I tried something funny. I went in a circular motion, so that way it looked like the shield was battle worn. So I came in and added it from all the same sides, moving in a circular pattern. I come back in with this E55 as my mid-tone, just lightly laying down some color, trying to, again, keep everything moving in a curved pattern. I apologize. I think I got a little low on the screen. I have the worst video setup ever, but we'll all just accept it. Here's where I come back in with that E53 and my light tone, and I just fill in the color, leaving that shield kind of, again, battle-worn. Because let's be honest, if you're a Viking woman, you are a battle-worn woman. Next, I went in with into her clothing, and I wanted to add color. I'd use this gray and I'd use this brown, so I knew I needed to add color somewhere, so I decided to go with blues because there's something about a cool blue that I think goes very nicely with grays. My dark tone was this B29, my light tone was the B24, and I come in with my mid-tone at a B26. And the pattern on her clothes is so faint and fair. I didn't do a lot of shadows, I just kind of gave a hint to shadows. I think when you're working in an area this small, you don't really need to focus in on super detailing, you just need to drop the color. I feel Viking women are going to be your very European rose colored, so I went with a very light skin tone and used this E50 to, I don't know, my favorite's not usually an E50, but today I felt the need to use the E50. I dropped in some E04 in her cheeks because I wanted to give her that, again, flushed look that, you know, battle-hardened woman might have. My mid-tone, I like using purples to use as my shadows with my skin tone. So this is a I believe it's a BV00. That's usually the purple I pull out. And then of course, my standard E21 for her skin tone. I like the darker flesh tones of an E21. You'll see that I took too much of that cheek color out, so I actually dropped some more back in here. And then I go back over everything with that E50, just bringing back some nice warm tones into her skin. There's something to me about having lots of light flesh when you're working with a pale skin tone, so I don't drop in tons and tons of shadows. I have a fun trick when working with bone. I only use 2 colors. I use an E40 and E43. I drop in a little bit of the E40, I drop in some of the E43 as a dark tone, and I just drop back in that E40 and leave the tips the same color as the paper. And I feel that it really works for a bone tone as the horns would need. I'm experimenting today. This is a crazy combination for blonde hair for me. It is not normally my standard go-to blonde hair. I started with an E21 for my light tone and dropped it in. Her hair pattern's kind of crazy, so you have to really think about where you're dropping the color. Again, this is a new combination for me. I came back in with this YR24 as my dark tone and really swung the hair around, trying to use the shape of the way her hair is blowing in the wind to drop my dark tones in. I come in next with this E23. You can laugh at me as the number of times I drop lids. I tend to not be able to drop lids or place lids down nicely. It's a fault apparently that I have. And I came in with this E23 and colored in as my mid-tone. I'll come back in a minute with this Y21 and you'll see I'm not going to be crazy happy about how my lines of the hair have gone. And it was one of those moments where you just kind of accept what's happening with the hair and you move on. I think in the end I ended up with some nice rich blonde tones. I wanted the color to be a little lighter than it came out. I really, really wanted that almost white blonde Nordic hair tone, but this is what we came up with. I dropped a little shadow, and when I do shadows I always work with my neutral grays. So this is an N0, an N4, and an N2 is my mid-tone. For me, those are just the perfect shading colors. And there she is, all colored up. I did a lot of dye. Oh, see here, again, I didn't get enough fleshy pink tones, so I came back in with that E50 just to drop a little bit more evenness across her face. I did a lot of die cutting with this one because like I said, I wanted to end up with it as a tag for a wine bottle. So I die cut out with some Crafting Desert Diva dyes, added some ribbon under everything, and there is the final product for a wine bottle. Thank you all very much. If you like what you see, go ahead and check or subscribe. Otherwise, hope to catch you again later. Bye.